Welcome to We Should Start a Podcast, the only podcast within a podcast. Each week we'll attempt to create the next hit audio show as we pitch our brightest ideas for pods about anything and everything. But more often than not, pretty much nothing. I am your host, Podmaster and Commander Dino, and joining me, as always, are my good friends, Podmaster Chief Danders, and Davey Hogan is here too, bringing up the rear. Let's get into it.
We should start a podcast.
Welcome back to We Should Start a Podcast. Not the only podcast to record back-to-back episodes, but probably the worst at it. I am your host, Dino, and seeing as I've already put in my shift on the first episode today we're going to leave it up to Dave Hogan to come up with some pre-pod riffing. Dave?
Pre-pod riffing. I don't know. I feel I don't know. What do I talk about? I feel a bit fucking hard done by. I went to the toilet there just before we started recording, and I had a little poop, and there was no toilet roll. And it's fine because there's toilet roll in the cupboard next to the toilet, but you have to stand up with your jocks around your ankle, and you're in that kind of very vulnerable and precarious position after taking a poop, and you're trying to reach up to the top shelf to get the toilet roll. It's not nice. It's not nice.
Dino, this is what happens when you give Dave the pod riffing reference.
How are we rating Dave's riff standards?
It took us no time to get to poop, man. Like we got to poop in less than a second, I think.
Also, I feel that that's a preparation problem on your part, Dave. Nothing to do with the layout of the bathroom.
Trash it. We're not doing it. Trash it.
You're on your own, Dino, so you're good. You have full control of your toilet roll situation, whereas when you're living with somebody else, you don't necessarily have that control, and you've got to trust that they replace it when they're finished with it, but maybe not.
You can just look. You can look before you sit down.
You go through that enough times to look. Yeah, that's what you do. You check it, you know. It's still everyone gets caught out. Everyone gets caught out every once in the blue moon. But I think it worked. I think this kind of, you know, this roundabout way to do a pre-pod riff has actually given some juicy content to the listeners that they've maybe never had a chance to discuss but have always wondered about.
And everyone out there listening, feel free to drop a rating of Dave's preamble on the socials. Hashtag Dave's Big Riff.
There's so much poop references in Feel free to drop a rating of Dave's poop.
And actually do let us know how you're managing your toilet paper in your house. That's one of those ones that you don't see other people do it, so you never know if you're doing it the normal way or not. Just like that age-old one of there's always someone in a friend group. In our friend group, it's a man starting with G and ending with G. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not going to dox him here, but you're talking about wiping your ass, and you realize that one of your friends wipes from between the legs.
Oh, I'm about to throw some smoke here because there was another friend in that group beginning with D and ending with S that did the same thing.
Oh no!
I would have let our G to G friend get away with, you know, take the brunt of that one, but I know at least another couple of friends in the group that are aware of that. That's how I was taught. And you know, you try and change when you're an adult, and it just doesn't really work the same way. I grab my scrotum and I pull it out of the way. No, you pull them out of the way.
No,
but,
you
I
don't.
appreciate. I wish I'd learned the normal way, but there you go.
That's crazy.
You don't wipe back
that
to
is
front.
crazy.
I was in college with a guy, and this isn't wiping necessarily, but he told us that he'd sit on the toilet back to front, like facing the cistern, and that was how.
What?
I swear to God, and that he had us
Reverse
he had us
cowgirl.
convinced that was like how he did it. That's how all of his family does it. And we didn't believe him. And then like one night after a session, he went to the toilet, and we bust down the fucking door to take a look. And lo and behold, he was there facing the cistern. Reverse.
He was doing it.
He was
No
doing
way.
it, man. Fucking.
Oh my God,
That's
I thought he was
That's so
joking.
counterintuitive.
Like a cool guy sitting on the chair, isn't it? You scoop up the chair and you cool guy sit on the toilet. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't believe that. I honestly thought that he was having you on.
And there's in Vancouver, I never saw it in Ireland or in Europe for that matter, but there might be a certain group of people here now with a different culture who do this. But you frequently see in public bathrooms a sign saying like, sit down, sit on the toilet, don't stand up on top of the toilet and do your business.
Oh,
Right. I mean, I haven't seen signs, but I know that like that's how they do it in a lot of places. Yeah, for sure. Like
They stand on the
Well,
toilet.
they-
yeah, like
they
How does
pose
that
in
work?
the
say
ground.
in India, you would get a hole in the ground and you would crouch down, and so like I know that I've heard that people who come from different cultures like that just have no idea what to do with the toilet, so they just need to stand and squat in the hole. That's the only way they know how. You know?
Apparently, you're supposed to squat in a way. Like they have these little stools you put in front of your toilet. You can sit in the toilet, but your legs are up because it allows for like a more free,
Yeah.
a free bowel
Squatty
movement.
potties.
Yeah.
The biology is better if you do it that way. If you do the crouch, like they're actually doing it better than we are. And being able to do that is something that kind of escapes us now, because crouching and holding yourself in a total crouch position, it should be like relatively neutral for your spine and everything. If you were doing it regularly and you had the flexibility, and it's good for maintaining flexibility. But you see how interesting shit talk can get?
Yeah. And you were joking about my riffing. Look what it led to.
Hashtag Dave's
we'll give
big
you the
riff.
reins more often.
But unfortunately, guys, this is not a shit cast. This is kind of a podcast, kind of not. It's a placeholder where we are pitching our podcast ideas, trying to strike gold. We're trying to go number one in all the charts, but we don't have the right idea yet. We've had some bangers, but we're still not quite there. So for now, we will continue to pitch and pod. Is that fair to say, boys?
You said it fairly.
I did say it fairly. And with that, we are now ready to hear from our pod master of the week, the Riff King, Davey H.
Riff King.
To remind everyone how this will work, Dave will be pitching his latest podcast idea and taking us through a complete trial episode. Following the podcast within a podcast, colloquially known as a podception, we will collectively critique Dave's show based on a classic podcast rating system. But before he pitches, I am legally obligated to remind all the podgoblins out there that WSSAP never do any research as to whether these podcast ideas exist in the real world. So by accessing the content of this podcast, including the information presented, opinions expressed, and creative elements, you're hereby forfeiting rights to any intellectual property you may already hold in relation to your podcast. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. We had some doubt about the legitimacy of that legal claim in our last episode, but we are back with full confidence on this recording. We are
decided
manifesting
to-
our legal claims into reality.
And we're just pushing ahead.
Pushing ahead.
In for a penny.
And we're going to be getting lots of pennies off those royalty boys, but not right now, because now it is time to hear from Davey, and Dave is going to introduce us to his Podception podcast of the week. What do you have for us this week, brother?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dino. The name of this week's podcast is the Omnipodcast. Any ideas what it's about? Danders?
Well, omnipotent. Omni is like everywhere, or everything. So it's in every pod. Maybe we're doing every podcast.
Ooh, I like that. You're
Every podcast.
you're
ever.
not a million miles off.
We can own the rights to all those podcasts,
All of
then.
them.
Every podcast that ever was.
Because we did it in a segment.
Dino, what are you thinking?
So like Dander said, yeah, Omni, it's I believe its origins are from the Latin word meaning everything or all, and then you have podcast, which is Latin for like dumb guys in their 30s with no
fuck,
talent.
yeah.
No, I joke. In contrast to Dander saying it's all podcast, it could just be a podcast about everything. About anything and everything. So basically just
Nothing.
the podcast we already do. Is that right, Dave?
Danders wasn't a million miles off. Dino, you were way off.
Oh, I suck.
With that being said, let's jump into it. Dino, roll the intro.
Yes, sir. This week, we are diving into the world of the Omnipodcast.
In the beginning, there was a podcast. And the podcast was with us. And the podcast was God. Blessed be the listeners, for they have heard the call. Blessed be the hosts, for they dare to rewrite the scriptures. Blessed be the Wi-Fi, the mic, and the holy waveform. Welcome to the Omnipodcast.
Welcome, my children of pod, to the Omnipodcast. Let the heavenly spirits take you from this earth for the next 25 minutes as we play God, affiliates of God, and sometimes loosey-goosey himself, El Diablo. For today's episode, you will audibly receive the gospel according to me, your host, Father David. I'm joined by my fellow worshippers, Sister Dino and Daddy Danders.
I don't know how religious Daddy is.
Yeah, I know.
Also, I'd love to know who recorded that Omni intro. I was trying to pick out Kerry accents amidst the distortion. Who was it? I couldn't find any.
From my perspective, I think that's another classic AI Dave Hogan endeavor. Am I right?
It was a collaboration between David
and AI.
and AI. No, I recorded it and I used AI to change my voice to something else. Extra points if you can tell me whose voice that is.
I'd have to hear it again, but we're not going to do
it's
that.
It's not God.
Who is it?
It was Optimus Prime. Sounded as close to
Oh,
God
it
as
was
we could get.
Optimus Prime.
Of course it was.
Yeah.
Of course it was. Yeah, of course it was. I couldn't get away from Morgan Freeman.
What? Not far off. But yeah, no, it was fun to make. With that being said, let's dive right into the first segment of our show. This segment is called Creation Station. In this segment, we, your hosts, will become holy engineers, tasked with creating a brand new species made up of characteristics from currently existing beings. I did ask the guys to prepare this ahead of time, so I'm very interested to see what they've come up with. I think we should start with what's the top of my screen right now. So, Danders, what have you got for us today?
So basically, I'm just trying to get as close as possible to a dragon.
And you've always said that.
I've always said that. Anyone who knows me, they knows what I'm talking about. But I get the sense that throughout the Holy Scriptures, there's always been reference to the dragon of all Holy Scriptures in every culture, right? It's something that we're fixated on and has a lot of mystical power. So I'm going to start on that basis, and I want my dragon to be huge. So I'm going to take the body of a blue whale, please.
Oh, that's a thick dragon.
That's a very thick dragon. But we're also going to give him... Let me see. Where did I put my notes?
A massive dick.
Yeah.
And you already had these notes before preparing for this podcast. This is something you've been working on for quite some time.
Quite a long time. Yeah.
I've seen your sketchbook.
Yeah. You see, it's got the body of a blue whale, but... All right, I remember most of it from memory, so maybe all of it. So, scales of a crocodile, because we want that armor, of course. You guys are familiar with the typified image of a dragon. Turns out there aren't really any fire-breathing creatures that you can borrow from. Apparently the scarab beetle gets closest, but I didn't really go down that rabbit hole enough to find out what that meant. So, wings of a short-tailed albatross, which I believe is the biggest wingspan of any flying animal that we have, but still probably not as big as a blue whale. That's
Not proportional to the blue whale, I was going to say.
But it's dragons are magical creatures, so hopefully if we kind of cobble this thing together, we'll find a little magic. But it had the tail of a bull, and that was for like flicking flies away from the eyes and stuff like that. Legs of a cat, and this is because I'm spending a lot of time at the moment with a cat. I'm living with a cat at the moment, and like they are crazy. Basically, they just like this thing fucking climbs the walls and like jumps on your head, and he's just absolutely nuts. And like their dexterity with their hands, and like they can fully use it. And
Okay, I see where this is going.
Back to red tube, straight again. We can't avoid it. Yeah. No, they have this incredible dexterity with their hands that dogs don't have. Like they can use it as a tool, and they can turn it up and down, and yeah, they're super dexterous. I don't know what you want me to say, guys. Fuck it up.
Ooh, this is getting hot.
Spicy.
Just to clarify,
wait. I have a head of a snake. Head of a snake.
Sure, let's go.
That was all. Yeah. The head of a snake, yeah.
Head of a snake.
To my mother's dismay. So we have the head of a
But that's like a normal sized snake on a blue whale.
normal size. We go with the big one. We go with like an anaconda. We go with giant anaconda. Head of a snake, body of a blue whale, wings of a short-tailed albatross, limbs of a cat. But let's say a big cat. Let's say the biggest cat.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
whichever tiger it is, Bengal or Siberian. Or
Yeah.
And the tail of a bull. Bob's your teapot. There's your full-blown perfect animal.
That sounds horrific.
Any
Danders.
questions?
You unveil it. Kill me.
My question is, what does he eat?
He eats krill. That blue whale genomics
Nice.
die hard.
Nice.
So it's unfortunate because he doesn't live in the water, so he just has to go down, take a big scoop with his snake mouth, and just try and hold on to as much krill as he can through those fangs. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
But he also...
Speaking of
yeah, go for it.
sorry, go on.
No.
No, I was saying, speaking of big cats, you're looking for the biggest cat legs. Have you seen those domestic cats people have as pets called Maine Coons?
No.
I feel like you're leading me somewhere I don't want to go.
No, I'm not leading you anywhere. Google Maine Coon and look at the size of these cats. I only found out about these the other day. They're crazy looking.
They're fucking devious looking as well.
Oh, wow. He big.
Have you ever seen a domestic cat that big, that chonky, that thick?
No, it's huge. Like it's nearly as big as a person.
Yeah.
This thing is.
Imagine those hands, Danters.
Yeah. Okay, it's
Ambitious
got
those
Maine
bad
Coon
boys are.
hands.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, you can continue. Sorry for that little aside. Listeners, go Google Maine Coon yourself. You'll be pleasantly
I
surprised.
probably wouldn't want a cat that big in my house, to be honest. Like, I always thought it was crazy to see people with like big wild cats almost domesticated in their living space. It seems fucking, because like I can't trust cats. I'm not a cat guy. You can't trust a cat.
I'm with you. Even like the one that I'm with at the moment, like it's spooking me out, man. Like I'm used to spending time around dogs, but I just like cat behavior is beyond me, and
Yeah.
it genuinely does get me weird.
It's devious.
It's
Yeah.
devious. Yeah. This guy's like super affectionate. He'll like rush your face, but just for like to nestle you and stuff. It's
kinda
it's cute, but it's like it's way too much sometimes because it just doesn't stop. You know what I mean? And he's just all over your face and all the time.
They also still have those claws, which kind of put me off. Like they could swipe you at any time.
And like because they're retractable, like if they're just on your lap and purring or whatever, at any point in time you could just get a spike, like, and that does happen.
I hate
all
when
the
that
time.
happens. I'm like, I love that you're enjoying yourself, chilling here next to me, but put them fucking claws away. My cat at home always does it, man. Just digs
Yeah.
into my
Oh, you
leg.
have a cat. You have a family cat, do you?
We have 2 family cats. Yeah, my mother and sister are big cat people, but I'm
That's
okay with
interesting.
them. But Jesus, they wouldn't even be my top 3 choices for pets, to be honest.
No,
No way.
No, yeah.
not for me either.
I was just going to talk more about this crazy cat that I'm living with.
Wait, Danters, are you a jazz guy? No, tell us more about your creation. Is there
the
more to
creation.
it?
Oh no, basically
Yeah.
like I don't know, like I say, so dragons kind of personify magic, and I'm kind of getting the sense that if I cobble together this sort of hybrid freakazoid dragon type creature, that you might so the essence was that it would guard buried treasure, but that as a result it would lend us its kind of magic capabilities, really with fire breathing. So we're still working on that part, but I guess it's going to kind of, live down volcanoes like Magmar from Pokemon, and probably just embody all of that heat and then redirect it. That's what I'll say, right? So it's not that it's can breathe fire, but it kind of has powers to intensify and direct the energy, So for that, we're basically going to abolish, nuclear fission, and we've got it direct, from the horse's mouth. We've just got pure power. So
Wait, you didn't mention that. It has a horse's mouth.
God, yeah, a snake's head, but a horse's mouth.
I do like that when I gave you this stuff to prepare, one of the things I said was it has to be within the realm of possibility and the realm of what already exists.
Dander's
Dander's straight to dragons, just immediately magic dragons.
But he's not an actual dragon.
All of the animals exist. All of the
It's like a
animals are true.
Franken dragon.
Fraggin.
A fraggin. Sounds like a slur. Let's not go there.
Well, thank you for that, Danders. That was quite interesting. We will move on to Dino's creation station.
3 quites. Quite interesting.
Dino, what you got for us?
Look, guys, Danders got complicated. Danders got fancy. I'm keeping it simple with mine. I'm keeping it very simple. Mine is just a gorilla with a human hog. Right? Just like nothing impressive. Just your average hairless white guy hog. And I just think it would look hilarious. And that's mainly the point of it.
A skin flute? Not a hairy gorilla dick, but like a
just like a normal hairless
skin.
human hog. Yeah.
Okay. It would look pretty funny, to be fair.
It would look
just
hilarious.
like out on display while he's being a big gorilla. Like,
Yeah, just like this 500-pound gorilla, completely unaware, just like at the zoo, just human hog and balls too. I just think it's perfect, and I think it would do a lot for various areas of society. First, we're talking about world unification, right? I think this would instantly become the biggest news story in the world. There was a gorilla with a human hog. And we can forget all that depressing tariff, world war, like hunger, food crisis, climate crisis shit. This gorilla has a human dick, you know? Like,
no one's talking about anything else.
yeah, it's the levity we need right now. And honestly, I think this is probably the world we would be living in if Harambe never got shot. You know?
How do you see the lifestyle of that gorilla playing out? Like, would he be in a zoo? Would he?
He's fucking everything.
Like, this gorilla fucks. This gorilla fucks.
You've never seen such unsatisfied female gorillas in your life.
But at the same time, while there's unsatisfied female gorillas, there's a lot of satisfied human females out there because men's confidence is going to go through the roof with this thing, right?
I thought you were going somewhere else with that one.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the gorillas.
No, they're not fucking the gorillas, guys.
Gorillas
Come
fucking
on.
damn right.
Come on, get your head out of the gutter here.
It's got a human dick. What's the problem?
What's the point of having a human dick if you're not going to fuck? But you not think that guys are going to look at that and be like, yeah, I suppose I am built like a silverback,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
got a gorilla's hog, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that maybe we don't have as many like incels and school shooters and shit if this gorilla has a human hog.
Yeah. Because he'll just fuck him.
Yeah.
Helping society by fucking school shooters. I don't know.
Imagine a gorilla with a human dick comes into school with a gun.
He already has one.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking back to the zoo. Yes, I do see him in a zoo. But obviously, I don't think it's appropriate for a human hog to be hanging out when there's like kids at the zoo.
Yeah,
so maybe they bring him out at night for like a zoo after dark, and you'll have like bachelorette parties there, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's going to be natural. We're assuming this is completely natural. So
Completely natural.
why has he got to hide it?
Oh, is he a grower or a shower?
He's definitely a grower, I think.
Oh no.
It's just an average white limp penis on a huge gorilla.
And
So-
is he a Seki?
Freshly cut.
That's yes.
You've
I'm
only
going to
given
say
us,
yes.
You've only given
I'm
us
gonna
two
say-
details: gorilla and human
I'm gonna say
dick.
yes.
So, like, how do we
Yes,
find
human
out?
dick. What more do you want me to say? And I was thinking, you know, like this is going to become like a big thing. He's going to become a world icon. People are going to want to like dress up as this thing for Halloween,
Of
right?
course.
All you need to do is get a gorilla costume and cut a little hole out where the dick.
Crotchless chaps job.
It's just a costume.
Yeah, it's just like, why are you so mad? It's just a costume. And I think my final point is that this would also do great things for wildlife conservation, right? Because you know how they say that in hostage situations, you always have to try to like tell the hostage taker your story, your name. You have to give yourself a human element. And when you humanize yourself, the hostage takers are less likely to kill you or hurt you. The same with this. If we can find a way to proliferate this human dick gene amongst wildlife, like silverbacks in the wild, I think poachers are less likely to kill a silverback gorilla if they're looking at them and they're like, hey, I can see myself in this guy with his hog hanging out, you know?
Yeah, I don't know what happens to the whole world if everyone can fuck everything because everyone's got a human dick, but
That's a world I want to
that's the
live
world I want to live in,
in. Yeah. And that's the thing. Eventually, I'm hoping we live in a world where everything has a human dick, you know?
Yeah.
But that's basically it. Thoughts?
That's basically it. What was it about the poaching? Something about what you say it was gonna. What was your first point about the poaching?
It humanizes the gorillas, right?
Yeah.
Poachers are less likely to bring all these species to the brink of extinction if they're looking at them and they can't pull the trigger
all I was gonna say is if I was taken hostage, then if I started telling my story, I think he'd just shoot me in the face straight away. that's why I pull my dick out.
Yeah. We're taken hostage and it's just like, get on the ground. Wait a second. Imagine a gorilla with a human dick.
Whoa, that is kind of funny.
All right, you're good. You can go.
No, I like it. I think Dave gave us the brief of trying to create the perfect animal,
And you did it.
I think with very limited parts, you know, turned out that was all it was. It was A plus B equals perfection. You know?
More like ape plus D.
Yeah.
D average.
Oh, very good.
Okay, thanks for that, Dino.
Wasn't expecting that at all.
No.
I'm a simple man.
So far, beluga whale shaped dragon style animal with cat legs, and an ape with a human dick. I like it. I like it. It's mine is less funny, to be fair. I actually went a bit serious. I tried to create like a fucking
me with an ape dick.
I tried to create a kind of a cool motherfucker. It's kind of shaped like, so it's shaped like humans, so it stands upright, slightly bigger than humans. It's covered in fur. It's like sea otter fur because it's super dense, insulating, and it's waterproof.
Mm-hmm.
So the hearing is interesting. They have the hearing of like a greater wax moth. A greater wax moth can hear up to 300,000 hertz, which is 15 times higher than the pitch humans can hear. So they have super, super cool hearing, or super powerful hearing, let's say. They have goat eyes, rectangular pupils and near 360 vision. The smell, the nose of a dog, kind of a bit of a snout of a dog as well because they're cute. And the temperament of a dog as well. So really it's just an upright dog with really good fucking hearing, which I think is pretty cool. And I think it's like an improvement on humans as we know it. And of course, a big monkey dick. So it's perfect all around. But yeah, I tried.
Where do you get your humanoid form from? Because you told us that it had to exist, not to be a stickler, but yeah. No, just curious.
It's clearly Dino's gorilla going around fucking humans. So it's some sort of hybrid.
Yeah.
Let's just get one thing out of the way that everyone already kind of knows. We've all kind of picked things that we personally want to fuck, right?
Danders, you dog. Do you know how much sperm comes out of a beluga whale? You are fucked.
No, I'm fucking the whale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Big fucking horse
With my
mouth.
human dick. Yeah, I'm like a gorilla. Yeah.
You see, your confidence is already going up just thinking about it.
I feel it. You're getting my vote for sure.
All right, Dave. You
Nice,
can
Dave.
continue.
What is your humanoid, furry, excellent senses creature eat? As was your previous question.
I like the idea of sustainability. So like berries, pretty much a vegan diet, very sustainable. Doesn't need to kill other animals to stay alive and to get sustenance. So yeah, mainly like berries, leaves, shit like that. Kind of.
What does he contribute to society?
It just looks badass, man. To be fair, and I think if we create a fucking ton of them, then we could have some serious soldiers, like super soldiers, or else really good UFC fighters. I don't know. Either way, they'd be kind of badass.
Do they speak like humans? Do they speak like humans?
Yeah, with a Jamaican accent for some reason.
Kind of like Jar Jar Binks.
Imagine Jar Jar Binks in the wrestling.
Actually, I changed my answer. It's Jar Jar Binks.
It's a historical precedent. Yeah, super. I was just gonna try and come up with more questions about your animal.
No, they're perfect. They're perfect. There's no questions. It's super warrior kind of thing. Well, thanks for that, guys. That was interesting. Just gotta be sure that we never get the power to create animals in the future, because we are gonna come up with some wild shit.
Don't give it to Dino.
The meat is stinking.
Yeah, Dino, you coming out today? Nah, I'm just gonna chill with my gorilla, my pet gorilla. You're spending an awful lot of time with that gorilla, Dino. Yeah, you walking with a limp, Dino? Anyway.
For me, I just hang out with it because it looks so funny. I'd never stop laughing if a gorilla
And
had a
it
human
boosts his
penis.
confidence. He's gonna say.
Yeah. Bring it out with me as a wingman.
Okay, well, thanks for that, guys. With that being said, let's move into the next segment of our show today. This segment is called We Can Do Better. So, the premise of this segment is that each pod member will bring forth a change in the world at large that they believe is net good with no real downfalls. can be anything really. The task of the other two podcasters is to poke holes in it, find reasons why it's not necessarily a good thing. Like, for example, if yours was to fix world hunger, we will poke holes and say, where does that food come from? Who loses out? Somebody loses out, yada, yada, yada. Just playing devil's advocate. That's an example. So yeah, I've asked the guys to come up with something ahead of time. So we will start with Dino this time. Let's run with it.
Okay, so if I could play God and make one change in the world, I would want to live in a world where eating has zero consequences on the human body, meaning humans do not have to eat for survival. Food is entirely optional. And I was thinking about this last night when I was stuffing my disgusting face with Taco Bell. A new Taco Bell just opened up near me. It would solve world hunger for one, but more importantly, there would be no more Taco Bell diarrhea.
Oh, so is the other side of it that you can eat as much as you want? Like, it's not just
you can eat as much as you want. It has absolutely zero consequences on your body. You can eat as much as you want, but you don't need to eat at all.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change happen like in the morning? Like we just immediately become different, or are you implementing this change from the beginning of a time? Like, we never needed to eat, let's say.
We're changing it overnight so that we have the memories of needing to eat and also the consequences that came along with eating. So if we just had it from the beginning of time, do you know what? Maybe people wouldn't even eat.
Yeah,
like food never would have even developed into the tasty form it has today because there was never a need to do that. You know, biologically speaking, there was no drive.
Okay, so I have one hole to poke. So if we're changing it overnight and humans no longer need to eat for sustenance, but obviously we all still really enjoy food. That doesn't change, and we will always have fond memories of food, taste, smells, textures, things like that. So humans will still eat now because if they want, of course.
If they want.
But now that we don't have the need to do it, does it have more extreme effects on our body? Do you know, because when we eat now, like, our body breaks shit down and it uses nutrients and stuff from the food. Like, what happens now?
The point is that it has zero consequences on your body. It just goes through you. It comes out the same way it normally would, just without taking in any of those nutrients. No effects on your body whatsoever.
You have just as much satisfaction, and like this is something, because elements of satisfaction are to do with how hungry you were before, or the kind of gap of fasting or whatever, and you know, if you're never getting full or never changing your state, you know, does it ever reach that kind of satisfaction level that we're used to?
Probably not. But that's the trade-off, right? I mean, we're solving world hunger overnight. We're probably reducing rates of food-related diseases like cancers, obesity, diabetes, things like that.
I would love to know what it does to industry, because
that's what I was going to say, yeah.
Three of us are eaters, like, we would happily just stuff our faces, but a lot of people, I think, would be delighted to be able to just quit food. Do you know what I mean? Because they just find it a pain to have to, you know, keep up with the routine, as it were. But I would love to know, what happens to our factories, our farming. Does it get like completely abused and overwhelmed, or do they completely, you know, wither from being underutilized?
That's a good question, because on one hand, you're going to get extreme levels of glutton. I mean, is it even glutton anymore if it has no effect on your body? But people are going to overdo it. But at the same time, like you said, people are also just going to stop completely. I think certain industries are definitely going to suffer. Like, why bother eating fucking like cabbage or some shit if you don't like, you know, all the like really healthy foods? Why bother eating it if it's not going to give you any health benefits? So we're going to see probably a boom in rich and super tasty foods, and less so in the kind of fresh and maybe health food side of things. But at the same time, I think we're no longer going to have any of these like gross fucking diet versions of products that we have food influencers and fitness influencers pretending that they like better than the real thing. That shit pisses me off so much. It's like, oh, I spent 12 hours making these high protein, low calorie brownies, and they're even better than the real thing. Would you believe? Like, no one believes that shit. They're so bad.
And what happens then in terms of, so like, obviously you eat, like, in reality, you eat too much, you become fat, or you take in too many calories. What happens to our bodies then? So let's say in the morning, let's say fat people wake up.
Hopefully not.
What?
I'm only joking.
What happens with them? Do they just consistently lose weight through exercise? Because you burn so many calories just from being alive in the day, right? Does that stop as well?
they can still lose weight through exercise. I haven't fully fleshed this one out. That's a good point, Dave.
Surely, eventually, everyone just becomes fit. Like you've solved obesity as well. I would have thought.
Exactly. Everyone becomes fit eventually, and guess what? Like we mentioned on a previous podcast, this completely levels the playing field in terms of athletics and diet, right? Everyone is working with the same nutritional basis. So basically, it all comes down to dedication, skill,
and there's still
and the effort you
differences
put
in
in.
physique, as in some people are very very tall
Yes.
and strong, and some people, you know,
Yeah.
are small. So
Yeah.
And where does our energy come from? Like in our bodies.
Well, we're living in a world where we just have energy from fucking, I don't know, we photosynthesize. or some shit.
Enough questions. No, but that's what we're supposed to do. Me and Dan are supposed to poke holes and then find.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Are
I
you
get it.
literally a scientist?
Gives you the right.
And actually, on the science side and maybe on the environmental side, right, we're going to have so much less human waste to process, which is ultimately going to be a good thing.
I thought that fecal matter was a good what do you call it, like for plants? What do you call it?
Oh, shit. A fertilizer?
Fertilizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you meant human waste, you meant like plastic and shit like that, did you? Or no, you'd have a lot more.
I also mean shit.
All right, I'm ready to poke a hole in your fucking. All right,
for
let's
it.
say that industry booms and everyone buys more Doritos, and you know we're destroying the land, you know, full of landfill. Everyone's just fucking Dorito packets left, right, and center coming out the carpets. So what are we gonna do about that, sustainability boy?
Well, because people in other places who don't have great access to food aren't going to be eating at all anymore because they don't need to. They're not going to be generating anyway. So we're just going to send all our waste to poor countries.
Just share it around.
Yeah.
Do you think that because society doesn't need food, that the demand will go down, thus decimating the farming industry? And then do you think long term that will have an actual adverse effect and the cost of food will go up because it's a luxury rather than a necessity?
Oh, 100% the cost of food is going to go up. That goes without saying. But then that just comes down to, like, you don't need it, so it becomes a luxury, right?
Like there are seismic shifts that would happen as a result of this completely like impossible, you know, totally shift in our sort of scientific material that we have in front of us.
Yes,
But like
yeah,
everything would
exactly.
change. Absolutely everything that you can think of in the world would change. So it's hard to like pinpoint a hole to pick because like you couldn't even predict the sort of fallout that I feel would happen from this ultimately. But obviously solving world hunger, it's going to do well at the polling station, you know, so probably you're in for a second term there,
Yeah.
Mr. President.
Well, it depends on what party you're in, I guess.
To be completely transparent, I did find maybe one hole in this, one negative, and that is that probably Plumpy Nut never would have existed if this is the case. You know, these kind of like highly therapeutic foods that they use for people who are
Well, you said it was like
starving.
overnight,
And
right? You said it was just you flip it on.
yeah, I suppose. But Plumpy Nut holds a very dear place in my heart. When I was younger, I used to watch like the Oxfam ads on TV talking about charities in places where people are starving. And this was like one of those first foods that they provided to people that was an instant, like high calorie, highly functional food in this like kind of aluminum foil packet. And and as a kid, I was always so jealous because I thought it looked so good.
Well, like first of all, those kids aren't going to be hungry anymore because you've
Yeah, they're
worked
not.
that out.
They're not.
So Plumpy Nuts
Maybe
still
I can
exists,
just-
and you just gorge on that shit. You know?
I can hoard it. Yeah.
I think it looks a bit like a Pop-Tart, but like a Pop-Tart of mush. Do you know what I mean? Just in that same kind of size aluminium. I can't believe I said aluminum. You goons over there in North America are twisting my words.
Yeah, so that's basically it. Food has no consequences on the human body, and apes have
Okay.
human dicks. That's my world.
So what are we thinking, Danders? What side of the fence are you on for Dino's suggestion? Are you on? Is it
think
good,
it's
or do you think
wild.
there's too many holes in it for it to be a net good for society?
I think realistically there would be a lot of holes. That's why it hasn't happened already.
It's like we have the
I
choice.
do like this.
Our guy in office, Trump, is going to do it.
He's gonna do great. No, but like I don't know how I feel about it. To be fair, like I love my food. I love my satisfaction from my food. I feel like that would wane for sure. Guaranteed, there's gonna be like political ramifications out the yin yang, and some of them not so good, I would imagine. You know, like I say, this is just for a major change. There's always a lot of movement, and there's always a lot of good as well as bad. You know, so I'm a little uneasy about it, I have to say, David. But perhaps I'm just stuck in my ways, eating food and needing it like an old fashioned goon. So what do we say?
Well, you know what they say, Danders? To make an omelet, you have to break a few eggs. Thankfully, we don't need to make omelets anymore.
Unless you like omelets, and then you can continue to eat omelets. Yeah. See, my biggest issue with it is the financial aspect. We do think long term the price of food will go up, and then you will lose that
I
luxury.
think it would cripple the economy. Ultimately, I think it would cripple the economy. Realistically, I don't know how, but I feel like it would.
But conversely, we're talking about the economy, like problems that affect us. Whereas at the very same time, we are instantly saving millions upon millions.
So let's talk about an alternate reality where nothing is the same as we know it. And then let's talk about solving problems in society that we know nothing about.
Yeah. And that's our podcast.
Yeah, hard to poke holes when everything is so different. It's hard to know where to start. But yeah, I do like the idea.
Thank you for that, Dino. That was that's giving us a lot to think about. I am on the other side of the fence, though. I think it's a tough sell, especially if it's overnight. A lot of holes in it. But look, I mean, we could try it. We could trial it. We could do a 4-year term. And if we don't like it, vote the other side in. Danders, what do we got? What do you got for us?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I misunderstood the brief, which was, I thought that when you were asking us to make an animal, that had to make a benefit impact on society, which is why I spoke to the whole point about infusing magic in the world, so I really thought that I'd be channeling the powers of the volcano and using that to rid us of the need for nuclear fission, and like I say, so I'll take a quick sidestep, and I'm going to follow Dino's lead and take something a bit fantastical. And basically, everyone can fly. You still need to eat, you still need to get your nutrition, but everyone can fly. Now, before you come up with the first let's just say obvious hole in the plot, we'll quickly develop some traffic laws that govern the state of the sky, so there isn't any big high speed crashes, and maybe there's like a flying speed limit as well in most areas, and but basically without the need for wings, we Superman style can get from A to B, and something I've always wanted, and by God I'm gonna have it. So have at it, boys.
Is there a limit to how fast we can fly?
Yeah, I feel like we're not like all powerful flyers. And some people are going to be faster flyers than other people, like with walking, running speeds, And probably we'll end up having flight Olympics, and it'll get real extreme, and there will be people who will push it as fast as they can, but like it's a natural capability thing that's a level of sort of strength as anyone normally has, so it's not like you can immediately just bullet across the world. Like,
yeah, I was about to say that. I can imagine we're living in a world where we still have to take planes places because we can only fly only a little bit faster than we can run, so it would still take weeks to get across the country.
And you'd still have the same natural problems. Like, I'm not solving the issues of you flying at 30,000 feet altitude, if you know what I mean. We still can't breathe up there. We still get frozen up there. All of those issues still exist. So like there are practical applications, but it's not like a panacea,
I like that.
There's going to be a lot of peeping Toms.
Yeah.
There's going to be
a lot of peeping Dinos.
Yeah. All those skyscrapers that never built blinds because they never needed them. Now they're going to think twice. All those people fucking in those offices up on the 25th floor. Which is not very high.
Imagine not needing it. We have 2 elevators in our building, man, and one's been down for the last month and a half. It's constant in and out for the last year, really. So imagine just being able to fly to your balcony and just perch there.
If you're lucky enough to have one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then everyone in Vancouver can fly to your balcony. All the people
there's downsides for sure. In as much as people are annoying.
You have to implement security standards for your floor, let's say.
Yeah. Like with you, Dino, it'd be such a big change overnight that we'd have to try and catch up to that and put some regulation in place, but yeah, there's fines for peeping Toms, and eventually they get flying points, and if they have enough flying points then they're grounded, and
grounded,
probably go to jail. Yes sir. And
sky jail or ground jail?
Ground jail, just to just
Okay.
to really twist the knife, I think, Everyone's floating in their little 6x8 cell,
Yeah.
Only a bucket to shit in. Sorry, that's a Morgan Freeman line from Triple X.
WhatsApp's favorite movie,
The
Triple
worst
X.
bit is it's Samuel Jackson, not Morgan Freeman.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
I'm trying my best to poke holes in it, Danders, but it's proving difficult, to be honest. Dino, have you got anything?
It's the perfect idea, isn't it, Dave? And you know what?
It's the perfect
I thought
idea.
about it a lot.
I mean, it would be cool. This isn't poking holes in it at all. It's just, does it have the same propensity to do good as solving world hunger?
Well, your thing
it's
was
cool,
you could
but
have
it's
said solving world hunger, but you said food has no impact on humans whatsoever. So
yeah, because I want to eat like a fucking garbage truck.
My sense is that the more you get, I feel like yours is going to have a bigger impact on society for good and for bad. Mine is going to be like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, now we've got this new thing. Now we need to kind of adapt.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think it would solve a lot of day-to-day problems. Cats getting stuck in trees. And
Oh yeah.
taking the stairs to the bathroom.
Probably remove the need for a lot of ground transport, buses, cars, shit like that.
For sure.
Probably be a lot more efficient as humans anyway, because we can get from one place to another pretty fast. That's a good one, Danders. That's a green tick from me anyway.
Thank you, sir. Tell us about your one.
Before I get into my one, I think we should take a little break, if that's okay with you guys. So see you back in a few minutes.
It's not. Tell us your answer.
Welcome back to the Omnipodcast, the only podcast that isn't really a podcast. Before the break, we heard from Danders and Dino. They gave us little changes to society and the world. Dino made food have no consequences in our body whatsoever, which was pretty cool, but had a few holes in the plan, unfortunately. Danders came forth with, we can fly now. That's what Danders' suggestion was, which is pretty cool. I think it's a net good for the world, and we are ready to hear Father David's suggestion for changes to society. So mine is, humans require significantly less sleep to go about their days and be efficient and effective human beings. I think that right now we waste so much time sleeping. Like on average, you need about 8 hours as an adult. I think if we can knock that down to about 2 or 3 hours, then we could get a lot more done in the day. We could spend more time with our loved ones. If we made that change overnight rather than a change from the beginning of time, I think that. So also, I'll preface this: if it was from the beginning of time, I feel like corporate world would force us to work more hours anyway.
For sure.
So if we change it overnight, we're still doing that 8-hour day, but we get more time on top of it to spend with our loved ones and families. And yeah, man, you just waste so much time sleeping. I wish that we could sleep less and do just as much and contribute just as much to our lives with less sleep. What do you think about that?
If you're reducing it to 2 to 3 hours, why not just say we don't need to sleep
That was
at
one
all?
of my first questions,
I mean, we could do that. I do enjoy a good snooze, though. So there's...
But you enjoy a good snooze because you same with the food. You enjoy a good sleep because your body needs it, and it revels in that time to reset and recharge.
I feel like though Dave was just being a little bit less magic-tastical than we were. Like I feel like he was like, okay, humans are just more efficient, but they still need to rest their bodies to recharge it the same way, still need to dispose of waste. It's still humans, right?
Yeah, I mean, but there is a way to do this, and it's just you have to listen to Huberman Lab podcast.
Do you mean to pick up the knacks that he teaches about sleeping, or just because because then you're not going to want to sleep?
yeah, both.
I like it, Dave. I like the idea because I resonate. I feel like 3 hours probably isn't too far off my current mark. I think I probably average at 5 point something over the course of time.
Danders, that's not
I know I hate
good.
it. I feel like my existence is all living in shade. No, I'm joking, but
Oh, that's dark. You know what would make you feel better, Danders? If a gorilla had a human dick.
I thought you were going to talk about eating and not having any consequence, but you're much better with that one. Yeah. No, I love the idea for the reasons you've expounded upon. That was my first query as well, but also I can feel certain that within a generation, within a year, they would have extended the working times dramatically.
For sure.
Like.
For sure.
The only reason they've given us 8, 8, and 8 is because that's 3 parts of 24, So like it's like 8 hours around work. Now it's not like 8 hours at home to yourself, but it's like 8 hours not working, 8 hours sleeping, and 8 hours working. So it would easily be 16, or I don't know about that, but that was bad maths.
People will still probably work more hours to get more money. One thought I did have upon this was, so right now let's just say for argument's sake, we all work 8 hours a day out of our 24-hour days. We get paid a certain rate for those 8 hours. Do you think that if we had to sleep less or not at all, and we had more time in the day, that our time would be worth less and we'd get paid less per hour? Do you think that would be something that might happen?
Maybe. Yeah. Thank you for doing the whole poking yourself, Dave. But yeah, potentially. There's lots of ramifications long term, as soon as the corporate world gets a hold of this, it's all over for us.
How could they swing it though? Like, how could they justify paying us less just because, now we don't need to sleep?
How could they justify anything? It's
That's
like
true.
a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a couple of years.
There's a new season out, and there's some very poignant new episodes, kind of like in line with this, talking about how corporations are absolutely squeezing us in the modern age and getting everything they can from us. And I think if there's a change like this, it's only going to work to their advantage.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
Not the average man.
That, for sure. Like, I already find myself in my work day that you can't get a huge amount accomplished. That's maybe how I feel because I'm a lazy slowpoke. But like, I feel like with 8-9 hours of hammering it out, like your day goes very quickly, and you're like, oh shit, like there's so much that I actually have to push on till tomorrow now. And like, I enjoy that there's only so much you can do in a day because it's just the way everyone else is and we're all on the same page. And so, but if everyone was sleeping a lot less, then there's zero doubt in my mind that would have dramatic implications on career expectations. But maybe that's what a lot of people love, the opportunity to work more and more and more. So perhaps there'd be a lot of people happier. Who knows?
Do you think you would, or do you think you'd stay working the same as you are now and just enjoy life a bit more?
Oh, look, I mean, that would be the dream. For me, that would be the dream. Like, I'm very much work to live, not live to work, if you want to do it that way. But I know a lot of people who are, very, very career-centric, and that's formulates kind of a part of their identity, that they're a pusher and a grafter and whatever role they have. So I think a lot of people would happily uptick their hours. But for me, no, of course. I mean, more time for getting on top of shit. Jesus, I mean, I never have enough time so I'd be in favor. Yeah, for sure.
So that concludes that segment of We Can Do Better.
So that is done now.
Yes.
Nice, Dave. Good hosting.
Yeah. Top-notch stuff. So that ends that segment. And with that, Jesus broke bread, gave it to his disciples and said, finish your podcast. It's dragging on. That concludes today's episode. Thank you, Sister Dino, and thank you, Daddy Danders. To all my children of pod out there, have a blessed day.
Amen. Welcome back to We Should Start a Podcast. We just heard Dave's divine Omnipodcast. That was a good one, Dave. Any inspiration you care to share with us? You've been getting into religion midlife?
Kind of. No, not really. It was a play on the omnipotent, which is the all-knowing, all-powerful, I think that's what it means. So yeah, hence the name. And the intro was, in fact, not God. It was Optimus Prime. So
he's a bit of a god in his own right.
True that.
Does that make what's his name? Megatron? Is Megatron the bad dude? Is that you see the devil then?
The Decepticons are the bad guys, right? Is Megatron the head of the? Oh, I'm losing it.
Yeah.
I think
Megatron had a great voice.
I think he was the head of the Decepticons. Who was the bad?
Megatron. Remember that?
No, that was like Megatron's like.
Like stars.
Little
yeah.
kind of stooges. I don't know what to call them. as a henchman.
So I can't remember which comedian had this bit, but it's hilarious. He talked about how all Decepticons sound like old drag queens.
It's been like 15 years since I've seen a Transformers movie. I need to rewatch them now with that in mind.
Yeah. I don't know if they sound like that in the Shia LaBeouf live action ones, but definitely
in the old
cartoon
cartoons.
they had. Yeah. Anyways, guys, we will now critique the Omni podcast using the classic podcast rating system based on 3 criteria. And those 3 criteria are: number 1, the concept or general idea of the show. Number 2 is longevity. Do we think this show has legs to grow? And number 3, and probably most importantly, is pod sauce. Pod sauce is the je ne sais quoi flair or spice to the podcast that makes it a winner. Pod sauce could be literally anything you enjoyed from the pod or something you think gave the pod some extra flavor. This week's Pod Sauce segment is sponsored by Omnomnomni Sauce, a sauce for anything, anytime, anywhere. Okay, this sauce is everything. And as always, after discussing these 3 criteria, we will each give our final rating of this week's podcast. Will the Omni podcast be a smash hit, or should we trash it? Dave, I'm going to leave it up to you to take us through this critique section.
Thank you, Dino. We will start off with the concept of the Omni podcast. Anders, what do you think?
Yeah, so it's obviously God themed, and I don't know how much godly stuff we did. We kind of made some hybrid animals, and then we talked about solving problems in society, but all we came up with was gorilla with human dick.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Whose idea was that?
Having said all that, there's nothing else quite like it out there, Dave. So I think I like the concept. I think it's quite fun. You could do a lot of interesting things with it for sure. So yeah.
And I like the concept too, Danders. I think this has shown that we would be cruel leaders of the world. We would only make changes to serve self-interests.
He wants to stuff his tummy, and I want to rest my little feet. And what did Dave want to do again?
Sleep less.
More video games.
Which I, do you know what? This is like our own twisted dark fantasies, and I like it. Good
And plus,
concept.
with 24 hours in the day, imagine how many podcasts we could make every week.
At least 2.
As we are trying to prove.
Yes, you're trying.
Thanks for that, guys. That was the concept. Now we're moving on to longevity. I'll start with you, Dino, this time. Does this podcast have some runway? What do you think?
We're playing God. We can literally do anything we want, right? So even if it doesn't have runway, we can give it that runway. We can make people love us or despair, you know? We are the rulers of all creation, the masters of our own destiny, and we could do this for a long time.
Damn right. Thank you for that, Dino. Danders, what are you thinking? Longevity.
Yeah, same thing, same answer. I had to kind of hold myself back from saying that when it came to concept, just to say that you could go anywhere with it and do anything, because the whole point is that you're an omnipod. But yeah, can't say it better than my main man over there, and so I won't try.
Nice one, guys. Appreciate that. So, as we know, it was a pretty saucy podcast. Dino, what was your pod sauce?
My pod sauce was that horrific creation that Danders made. Like I can't really even picture it in my head, but it's completely disproportional. I think it would live a fairly horrific, grueling life.
It's a chimera. But
it's okay, that
yeah,
makes
yeah,
sense. Thanks. Yeah.
All I could think about is just a beluga whale with tiny little cat legs, wondering how actually agile he would be in the water with cat legs, considering cats hate water.
You can climb walls anyway, I'll tell you that. He also has short-tailed albatross wings, so he doesn't even need to climb walls. He just
Yeah, that's
flutters
true.
his
That's
massive
true.
body over walls.
And can harness the power of volcanoes for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in the money there.
Nice.
Thank you for that. Danders, what's your pod sauce?
I feel a bit bad now because I'd selected gorilla with human dick as mine. But there's no tit for tat thing. It's just obviously there was there's a lot of clear societal benefit to that, and so it's just an easy one.
Massive hole in the market
there. Size of a human dick.
Massive. Thanks for that, guys. So with that being said, let's move on to the rating. Is this Omnipodcast a smash hit or should we trash it? Danders.
Well, like I say, it was about God, but there wasn't much to do with God, and so it kind of leaves me wondering, do we need to tweak it a bit before we come back? But then I realized, gorilla with human dick, it's a smash hit.
Nice one. Thank you, Danders. Dino, what are you thinking? Smash hit, trash it? Give us your thoughts.
I have to say, Dave, this is an extremely ungodly podcast. This is blasphemous. Who are we as 3 30-year-old plus podcasters to play God? But with that being said, gorilla with a human heart. It's a smash hit from me.
Thanks for that, guys.
Wow. With a resounding positive response, the Omnipodcast is a certifiable smash hit. But at WSSAP, we like to hedge our bets. So until we can get this bad boy into production, we will continue plotting, pitching, and of course podding until we are certain we have the next pod smash on our hands. Any closing words, boys? Anything to tidy this up, Davey?
No, I just want to say thanks for your entries, guys. It was really fucking interesting. I now have a whole new world to think about, with monkeys with human dicks and beluga whales with cat legs and shit like that. Can animals fly, Danders, in this world of yours? Or is it just humans? Because if animals can fly, we got a lot of dangerous animals that are just confined to ground and certain places. Are they just up around us now? What's the story?
No, let's say just humans for now. We don't want
just
to get
humans.
too crazy.
Yeah.
And is it straight up magic, or can we get to the bottom of the science behind flying? And we can
there is science, for sure. There's science there, but to be honest, that'd be a whole nother podcast.
Yes, yeah.
Don't make me come up with science right now. But yeah, it's not magic. It's a natural capability.
Yes.
But the way bumblebees, apparently there was this whole thing about us not understanding the physics of their flight for a long time because their wings didn't seem to be capable, and then it was something to do with thrust and whatever else. Like there was different mechanisms at play there. I still don't know anything about it, but that's what it'll be like for us. That it will be explained. All in good time.
But until we get to that point in human history, we're just gonna have to continue staying on the ground, inside, listening to We Should Start a Podcast. So you heard it here first, folks. Listen out for the Omnipodcast coming soon exclusively to the all-encompassing Omnipodcast podcast app. If you think that we should start the Omnipodcast, please rate, subscribe, and let us know at WSSAP Official on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter. That is WSSAP Official on Instagram and X. We are inches away from a huge idea, and you can tune in again next week to hear us pitch that next hit show. Although I can't promise that there will be a next episode. We might get taken out by the government first for our radical gorilla hog ideas.
Because they have one in development and they can't spill the
They have one in development. Elon has one on the way. But until next time, folks, keep your ear to the grindstone. And in these trying times, remember a passage from the #1 best-selling book of all time, and a personal favorite of mine, the biography of the big man upstairs, the Bible. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called podcast. See you next time.